The gift box, the pediatric ward at St. Mary's Hospital, hummed with its usual quiet activity as Sarah Mitchell made her evening rounds. The soft green walls and cheerful cartoon decorations couldn't quite mask the clinical smell of disinfectant. But Sarah had learned to see beauty in small moments. A child's laugh echoing down the hallway, the gentle beep of monitors that meant someone was healing, the way afternoon sunlight streamed through the windows, painting everything in warm golden hues. Sarah had been working as a nurse for 3 years now, ever since graduating from community college. The work was demanding, both physically and emotionally, but she couldn't imagine doing anything else. Every day brought new challenges, new opportunities to make a difference in someone's life during their most vulnerable moments. As she approached room 3, Sarah could hear the soft sound of a father reading to his daughter. It was a familiar scene that had played out every evening for the past 2 weeks. David Chen, a successful businessman who had rearranged his entire schedule to be at his 4-year-old daughter Emma's bedside during her recovery from a serious surgery. Sarah knocked gently on the doorframe before entering. "Good evening," she said softly. "Time for Emma's medication." Emma looked up from where she was nestled against her father's chest, her small hands clutching a well-worn stuffed lamb. Despite everything she had been through, the little girl's eyes still sparkled with curiosity and trust. She had stolen the hearts of every nurse on the floor with her gentle spirit and brave smile. "Miss Sarah," Emma exclaimed with the enthusiasm that only a 4-year-old could muster, even while recovering from major surgery. "Daddy was reading me the story about the princess and the dragon." "That sounds like a wonderful story," Sarah replied, preparing Emma's evening medications with practiced efficiency. She had learned to make even the most routine medical procedures feel special for her young patients. "Was the princess brave like you?" "She was very brave," David said, his voice carrying the warmth of a father who would do anything for his child, "just like someone else I know." Sarah had grown to appreciate these evening conversations over the past 2 weeks. David was different from many of the parents she encountered. He was patient, kind to the staff, and completely devoted to Emma's care. He asked thoughtful questions about his daughter's treatment and always remembered to thank the nurses for their work. As Sarah checked Emma's vital signs and made notes on her chart, she couldn't help but overhear David and Emma's quiet conversation. "Daddy, when I get better, can we go to the hospital dance?" Emma asked. Sarah knew she was referring to the annual fundraising gala that the hospital held every spring. It was a formal event where doctors, nurses, staff, and donors came together to celebrate the hospital's work and raise money for new equipment. "We'll see, sweetheart," David replied gently. "That's still a few weeks away. We need to focus on getting you completely healthy first." Sarah finished her tasks and was preparing to leave when Emma called out to her, "Miss Sarah, are you going to the pretty party at the hospital? The one with the fancy dresses?" Sarah paused, feeling a familiar tightness in her chest. She had been invited to the gala, of course. All staff members were encouraged to attend, but the reality of her financial situation made it impossible. Between her student loans, rent, and the basic necessities of life, there was nothing left for luxury items like formal dresses. "I'm not sure, Emma," Sarah said honestly. "It's a very special event, but I might have to work that night." It wasn't entirely true, but it was easier than explaining to a 4-year-old that sometimes grown-ups couldn't afford the things they wanted to. David looked up from the storybook, and Sarah caught something thoughtful in his expression. But Emma was already moving on to other topics, asking about the stuffed animals that decorated the nurses' station and whether the night nurse would remember to leave her door open just a crack so she wouldn't feel scared in the dark. The next evening, Sarah arrived for her shift to find an elegant gift box sitting at the nurse's station, with her name written on it in careful handwriting. Her colleague Jennifer gestured toward it with curious eyes. "It was delivered about an hour ago," Jennifer said, "from someone named David Chen. Isn't that your patient Emma's father?" Sarah's heart began to race as she carefully lifted the lid of the box. Inside, wrapped in delicate tissue paper, was the most beautiful dress she had ever seen. It was a deep navy blue with subtle sparkles that caught the light like stars. The fabric felt expensive and soft between her fingers, and Sarah could tell it was exactly her size. Beneath the dress was a small note, written in the same careful handwriting. "Sarah, Emma has talked about nothing but the hospital gala since she learned about it. She thinks you're the most beautiful princess in the whole hospital, and she can't understand why all the princesses don't get to go to the ball. Would you honor me by being my guest at the fundraiser? It would mean the world to Emma to know that her favorite nurse is there, and truthfully it would mean a great deal to me as well. I hope this is appropriate, and I hope you'll say yes." Sarah felt tears spring to her eyes. In all her years of nursing, she had never encountered such thoughtfulness from a patient's family. The gesture was so much more than just a dress. It was recognition, kindness, and an invitation to be part of something special. That evening, when Sarah went to give Emma her medication, she was carrying the gift box with her. "Emma," she said, sitting down beside the little girl's bed, "I wanted to thank your daddy for something very special he did for me." David looked up from his evening paper, and Sarah could see both hope and nervousness in his expression. "The dress is absolutely beautiful," Sarah said. addressing him directly. "And I would be honored to attend the gala with you. Thank you for such incredible kindness." Emma clapped her hands together with delight. "You're going to look like a real princess," she exclaimed. David's smile was warm and genuine. "I'm glad you like it," he said, "and I'm looking forward to the evening. It's been a long time since I've had the chance to do something like this." 3 weeks later, Sarah stood in front of her bedroom mirror, hardly recognizing herself in the elegant dress. The gala was everything she had imagined it would be. The hospital's main lobby had been transformed into a magical ballroom with twinkling lights and elegant decorations. David was waiting for her by the entrance, dressed in a perfectly tailored tuxedo. But what made the evening truly special wasn't the fancy clothes or the elaborate decorations. It was the genuine conversation, the shared stories about their work and their dreams, and the quiet understanding that sometimes the most meaningful connections come from the most unexpected places. That as they danced slowly to the soft music, surrounded by colleagues and friends, Sarah realized that this was about much more than one beautiful evening. It was about recognizing the goodness in people, about the way kindness could transform ordinary moments into something extraordinary. "Thank you," she whispered to David as they swayed gently to the music. "Thank you," he replied, "for taking such wonderful care of Emma and for making this evening possible." Sometimes, Sarah thought, the most beautiful gifts came not in boxes with ribbons, but in the form of human connection and unexpected kindness.